What's up, everybody? CHM Carnivores here. I hope you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Now, about a month ago, if you'll remember, I bought about, I don't even know what it ended up being. It's exactly 12 different seed varieties from Carnivoro, all different Nepenthes, all different hybrids. And this is the first time that I've actually ever attempted to grow seeds. And I told you in that video that we would be taking the journey together, and I've got some big news to share with you about this journey, and then also some lessons learned. So this is going to be a shorter video, but I wanted to give you an update on this, some really exciting news, and then share with you some of the lessons learned that I have, so that if you ever attempt to do something like this, you'll have a much easier time than I did. So stick around. All right, everybody, as I talked about in the introduction, I'm very, very, very excited about this video because, as you know, this is the first time, if you watched that last video, rather, as you know, this is the first time that I've ever actually attempted to grow Nepenthes from seeds. I've always bought them as little seedlings or little cuttings or whatever it might be. This is the first time that I ever did it with seeds, and I decided to go big. I bought 12 different types of hybrid seeds available at Carnivoro, and I will tell you right now, just as a bonus, Carnivoro currently has several of these same seeds for sale, and they are actually marked down in price. So go ahead and check that out. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I will tell you that it has borne fruit for me, and I want to go through that, go through what the journey has looked like for me, what lessons I've learned, and then talk about some of the benefits. Now, on Carnivoro's site, it says it can take anywhere to 4 to 8 weeks for a seed to go from a seed pod to actually a small little plantling, right? If that's actually how you say it, a plantling. Now, there are some other sites, like the International Carnivorous Plant Society site, said that seeds can take anywhere up to a year to start producing seeds, and that was a little bit scary for him. But I decided to go with more of the Carnivoro route and give it a try. Now, I faced a couple issues right off the bat. When I received the seeds from Carnivoro, they came in little packets with the seed pods. The problem with that, it's a very humid environment that I'm in right now, and those packets were paper. So I had to think through of how I could mark these down without getting the paper completely soaking wet. Now, there are two different things that you can, there's multiple things you can do, but there's two things I had to decide. Was I gonna buy the little tags? And if you have those tags, you can write them on them. Now, these happen to be very, very complex hybrids, so I would have to write really small, as the names are just ridiculous. The option I went with is I marked every one of the seed trays, which I'll show you in a minute, with a number, and I marked a corresponding number on those tags, and I kept those paper pouches off-site, out of the grow tent, out of the way of humidity. That way I know which ones are growing without actually having to keep the names right here with me at all times. So that was a big lesson learned for me. Now, if you'll remember, I talked about when you start to do the seeds, you want to put regular sphagnum moss on the bottom, and then for the very top layer, you want to do a fine layer of milled sphagnum moss. And so what that means is, it's just like if you see a barber cutting hair. I literally just took a clump of sphagnum moss with my scissors and just chop, 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 and it makes a very, very thin layer of sphagnum moss. I will tell you that some of them I did very thin, others I did coarse, and I have not yet seen a difference in those two. I will tell you that I do have seeds that have grown in every one of them, whether it's been very finely chopped or coarsely chopped. The biggest thing that you want to make sure that you don't have is a lot of holes on the surface area, so a very uneven plane where the seeds can get underneath and rot. So the next thing I was really concerned about was humidity. How was I going to keep these seeds humid? I have heard everything from 100% humidity, that they need a lot of airflow, to anything in between, and so I was very nervous about what I could do to get these off the ground without causing an issue. So the thing I came up with, and I'll show you this now, is I bought these on Amazon. I got to be careful here because these have seeds in them. I bought these little things on Amazon. You get like 20 for 16 bucks, and I cannot stress how awesome these have been. It's got a little top on it where you can adjust the humidity level. I will say for about the first week, I left them completely closed. So 100% humidity, and I let those seeds just get nice and moist and feel good there and start to grow and feel comfortable. Then I started opening up the holes a little bit at a time in the next few days after that. And then by 2 weeks, I had this thing almost completely open. Now I had a couple concerns here. One, I was concerned, are the seeds going to dry out? They are very, very fine seeds. If you've ever seen a Nepenthes seed, they look like little strands of hair with a little ball in the middle of them. That little ball is the embryo. So they are very, very easy to dry out. So I was very nervous about them. These have done a fantastic job of letting air circulate without drying out the seeds. Now, what I have found, it is very beneficial about once every 2 weeks or so, and this is key, to make sure you have a very, very, very low pressure, almost like a trickle on your sprayer. Open up those bins and just give them a light spraying just to make sure that in fact, sphagnum moss stays nice and moist. Now, you don't want it to be sopping wet, but you do want it to be more wet, or wetter rather, than you would your normal Nepenthes. And so it's very important that those seeds have good contact with that moss. And so the way to do that is to keep it a little bit more wet than you normally would have it. Now, what I've also was really, really concerned about, and I had a lot of people tell me about this, I read this a lot, was I was so nervous about mold and slime mold. Now, there's a difference between mold and algae. And so I panicked when my sphagnum moss started to turn green. I was like, oh, this is mold. I'm about to lose these plants. But luckily, algae, which will turn your moss green, does not negatively impact the seeds. It will not cause your seeds to not produce a seedling. Mold, on the other hand, will. And the way that you're going to get mold is two things. One is not enough airflow and not enough light. Most importantly is not enough light. So you want to make sure you have good lighting on them. Nepenthes seeds require the same amount of light that their parent plants do. So they don't require any more intense light, they're just the same amount. Now, I've also found that they don't necessarily need a heat pad. I personally do not use a heat pad, and I don't know if other growers do it with better success. Now, here's the good update. It has been the first row, so I bought them in 2 separate batches, about a week to 2 weeks apart. The first row of the seeds that are reaching about a month now, so 4 weeks, have started bearing a lot of seeds. I've got probably 20 to 30 plants in each bin already. Now, the newer ones that are about 2 weeks younger than that, I've actually started producing seeds as well. Obviously not as many, but they are producing seeds. And what's really cool is you can start to see which of those plants are getting a head start and are going to be stronger than others. I have some that have grown remarkably fast for their size. As they get bigger, I'm going to show you what that looks like so that you can see them and enjoy them with me as we go through this journey. Now, one last bonus tip, if you will, if you did not watch the last video, if you are putting these seeds on, or if you are watering your plants, taking the lids off, make sure that you turn your fans off. When you do so, these seeds are very, very light and feathery like, and so they are meant to blow in the wind, and they will do just what they've been evolved to do. If your fans are on, you will have seeds everywhere. Bonus 2, don't throw the pods away. So don't leave the pods. This is very important. Don't leave the pods in with the seeds that you're growing. That pod will harbor mold, and it will grow mold and then take over. But take the pod, and what I did is just sprinkle it in with some of my more mature plants that are out here, and it's actually borne some seeds that way as well. So the little bonus here, unfortunately I'm not going to know what they are, but that's just fine with me. I'll have a nice little mystery plant that I can identify at a later time. But very important, don't let any of that extra media like the seed pod get in with your seeds. Remove that stuff because it will grow mold. This is for any type of carnivorous plant, not just Nepenthes. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed this update. I cannot wait to share with you these seeds as they grow. I hope some of these lessons that I've learned help you along the way. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. See you soon.